Coming up on Cronkite Sports Live, is Dallas Escobedo human? I say no, and her stats last night agree with me. We've got the highlights and more from last night's action.
ASU men's basketball has fallen back to earth. See what our analysts say that Coach Herb Sendek needs to do to stay in the madness of March.
Speaking of coaching, Tim Esme, he does that too. For the ASU baseball team, and he's got some explaining to do. We've got our analysts here to break down all the questions on the diamond for the Sun Devils.
And of course, we give out our usual hardware, top plays, player coach of the week, and maybe even some gold medals.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy. We blow the roof off this place with some charm, good looks, and our Sun Devil-y goodness. You know what happens next.
Let's go! Welcome, Sun Devil Nation. Sorry about the delay.
This is Cronkite Sports Live. I'm Brett, and that's Jake Gaten.
Now, this isn't our first rodeo.
Not true. I've never been to the rodeo.
What I mean is, this isn't our first time being behind the desk.
Oh, that's right. Now, in fact, you might even recognize us.
Probably not.
No, you see, we were actually here to anchor the first ever edition of Cronkite Sports Live.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
As far as I and Jake and everyone here at CSL knows, it never happened. But we're back.
We're back, and that's all that matters. And now we have a full-length show coming at you right now, full of Sun Devil sports.
We begin, actually, you know, waiting to be out in the back of this desk felt a lot like waiting and being left out in the cold.
Well, us New Englanders definitely know what it means being out in the cold.
Hey, you know who isn't cold? Dallas Escobedo and the Sun Devil softball squad. They entered yesterday scorching hot, standing at 11-0. 4 of those wins coming via the white flag, aka the mercy rule. Here's a hint. Early surrender was made again last night, this time against the Drake Bulldogs. Let's hit the highlights. You know, that cameraman looks awfully familiar. Oh my God, it's Jake Gaten, everybody. This, my dear friends, is Jake Gaten's Get on Your Feet and Look Like an Idiot for a free t-shirt dance. Somehow, he didn't get a shirt. He did break something, however. Now for the action top one, Dallas Escobedo retires the side in the first with ease, each by way of the strikeout. She would do the same in the second inning and finish the day with 10 strikeouts. Bottom half of the inning, bases juiced for Elizabeth Caparucio, and she delivers. A shot off the wall and right, plates all 3 runners, and the Sun Devils grab the early lead. Bottom 2, this time it's Amber Freeman with 2 on, and she grounds 1 between second and third, scoring 2 more. She wound up on second, making it that much easier to score on Haley Steele's double that followed. That's 6-0 Devils. Things stayed that way until bottom 5, ASU needing 2 runs to end the game early via the mercy rule. Not anymore. Freeman makes the magic number 1. She hits a bomb to deep center. Nobody's catching that one. That's her second of the season. She finished 3 for 3 on the day with 3 ribbies. Jennifer Soria forced to surrender a couple batters later on an RBI double to end the ball game. Now Liz Buck had the lone hit for Drake off of Escobedo, who is now allowed just 8 hits all season and struck out 734 batters. No, actually that's just 65. So yeah, sure, not that impressive. The Sun Devils return to action tonight in Tempe against Seton Hall. Kyler Meade is in studio with softball aficionado Kerry Crowley with more on the matchup. Gentlemen.
Right. Thanks, guys. ASU softball has been absolutely rolling through this first part of the season, 12-0 to start things off. While the offense has been great, it's the pitching that's been almost perfect.
No doubt about it, Kyler. Dallas Escobedo came to the season as one of the top pitchers in the entire country, but she's outperformed expectations. Opposing hitters are getting less than 2 hits per 7 innings against her. She's been dominating just about every hitter she faces. The secret to Dallas's success this season is what she's been able to do in pitches other than her rise ball. She locates her drop curve so well, or her backdoor curve, excuse me, and that's something that really set her apart in that Oklahoma game that the Sun Devils played last week. She's kind of faced inferior competition a little bit, not many power conference teams, but when you're playing the defending national champions like she did last week, she turned it on, picked up the strikeout numbers, was absolutely sensational. 7 innings of 1 hit ball, 12 strikeouts, including 4 against all Big 12 competition last year. Can't do much more than that.
1 out away from a no-hitter, and then she started off the game against Drake last night. 6 strikeouts in a row, ended with 9. She's been absolutely dominant, but it's not just Escobedo. It's also been Mackenzie Popescu in the circle. Statistically, she's been almost as good, if not just as good or better. Not as many strikeouts. She's a ground ball pitcher. It's that drop curve that she's been dominating opposing hitters with. And with a hitter like that, you'll get a single from now and then. You'll get a walk now and then. But you've got to put together a huge rally, and it's just not happening. She pitches to her defense, and she's been just as effective. Carrie, what does it give a team to have 2 dominant pitchers like that?
Well, Popescu's emergence is making the Sun Devils immediately Women's College World Series contenders and quite possibly the favorites, because no team in the country can go with the depth that Arizona State has on its pitching staff. You've got Escobedo going up against every #1, but Mackenzie Popescu is better than almost every #2 in the entire country, and you just can't ask for much more than that. When she's locating her drop curve like she is, she's stranding runners on base, the Sun Devils are going to be hard to beat because you get to super regional play. Dallas Escobedo could lose a game or 2, but Mackenzie Popescu will be right there to pick this team up and get them where they need to be. Stave off those elimination games and win the Women's College World Series, which is the ultimate goal for this team.
It's just demoralizing to face a team like ASU getting blown away by Escobedo, strikeout after strikeout, and then having to put together these huge rallies just to cobble together a run against Popescu back to back. Like you said, the offense is going to have down nights. There's incredibly powerful pitchers in the Women's College World Series, but they've got 2 of them. There's just Popescu would be a #1 on any other team. Now, real quick, looking directly ahead, not as far ahead as we're talking, but directly in front of us, we've got the Diamond Devil Invitational. 12-0 Sun Devils. You see anybody knocking them off so far?
Well, with the way Escobedo and Popescu complement each other, you look. They've got Seton Hall, they've got Idaho State, they've got Boston College, but no, that's not happening. It's going to take an incredible pitching performance to really upend the Sun Devils, and I just don't see it this weekend.
It's not hubris, it's just stats. For Carrie Crowley, I'm Kyler Meade. That's women's softball. Back to you.
Coming off the biggest win in program history, you would think ASU basketball would be back on track for an NCAA tourney berth. You would also think playing a underranked and banged up Colorado team would be an automatic win. But like usual, when ASU gives you just a little bit of hope, they completely drop the ball and bring you back to reality. With a 61-52 loss on Wednesday to the Colorado Buffaloes, Jahi Blachczynski and company need to pull together as they're in Salt Lake City for this weekend against the Utah Utes. The Utah Utes only have 2 losses at home. What can you expect out of this team down the stretch? Well, I for sure couldn't tell you. Good thing we got 2 guys in-house to give you everything you need to know. Let's end it to Sam Rabadi and the guy with the fancy bow tie, Cameron Neely.
Thanks, Jake. Sam Rabadi here alongside Cameron Neely, who's unfortunately not wearing a bow tie, but you still look sharp, Cam.
Thank you.
You know who wasn't sharp? ASU's offense against Colorado. What happened?
Well, a lot of things happened, Sam, but the thing that happened the most is really a lot of Jahi Carson dribbling at the top of the key, winding down the shot clock, and when that happens, it creates stagnant ball movement, and they do not get good shots in the possession.
You know, and another issue was ASU was out-rebounded 27-48, and after the game, Shaquille McKissick said, that shouldn't have happened on Mars, so if it's not good here on Earth, it's not good on Mars. So let's talk about what ASU needs to improve on against Utah.
Well, what they need to improve on is obviously their ball movement, because really these last 2 games, U of A and against Colorado, have just been, the ball movement has been bad. And the way to improve on that is getting Jordan Blachczynski the ball in the post. That reaffirming to that commitment to getting him the ball in the paint area will really help. He's going to get those easy shots 2 to 3 feet from the basket, and when he starts making those shots, he then will be able to get shots for people on the perimeter because the defense will collapse on him.
All right, Cam, let's go ahead and take a look at the upcoming schedule. I want you to tell me what you expect from ASU in order to make that tournament.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and bring up the graphic, Joey. So what you see on here is the remaining schedule: Utah, Stanford, Cal, Oregon, OSU. Last year they ended the season, their regular season 0-4. That can't happen this year. I really think that Utah is a must-win, and then they need to split with Stanford and Cal, and then obviously it's going to be a tough road swing with Oregon State to close out the season.
ASU is looking for their first tournament appearance in 5 years, but it won't be easy. As you saw, all those teams on that schedule ranked in the top 100 in RPI, and something else that Shaq said that was interesting was that loss against Colorado really brought the team back down to earth. So we'll see if ASU can refocus here and make the tournament. For Sam Rabati and Cameron Neely, back to you guys.
The year was 2010.
I remember 2010. That was the year I first experienced the soft, sweet love of a woman. I was 7.
So you're only 11 now.
Something like that. What was her name?
2010 was also the year of ASU D1 hockey captain Colin Heckel's first game.
Stacy, that was it.
Against none other than hated rival Arizona.
Okay, so now forward 1,240 days to today. Here we sit, hours away from puck drop of Heckel's last regular season series as a Sun Devil.
Against none other than hated rival Arizona.
Nobody on this team had lost to the Wildcats before they came in 2 weeks ago and snuck out of Tempe with a hard-fought win that visibly deflated ASU.
For seniors Danny McCullough, Cale Delinsky, Brett Peckel, Joe Delilah, Troy Scott, David Jancy, Brian McGinty, and of course Heckel, this weekend series is possibly the last dance with the Cats.
It's definitely their last in Tucson, and you can bet redemption is on ASU's mind.
They're angry, and that's bad news for the Wildcats that might want to, I don't know, bear down for what could be coming.
That was cute. This group of seniors has collected 787 points in 833 games and won 124 games, almost 100 more than their 26 losses. Insane.
It's almost unfathomable what these guys and head coach Greg Powers have been able to do for ASU hockey.
Though that one ultimate goal, a national championship, still eludes them.
Their last crack at it begins in a few weeks in Delaware. For now, their focus lies in Tucson.
They head into tonight's action at 32-2 and first in the ACHA with their first ever top seed in the national tournament locked up, though they're coming off the heels of that loss a couple weeks ago to the Wildcats.
37 in a row over Arizona, didn't go to 38, though we'd like to see a streak of 2 by the end of the weekend.
Thank you, Jake. Switching gears now, the ASU baseball squad has a streak of their own at the moment with what I believe is one losses. They're going to want to end that skid immediately.
Yeah, they're probably going to want to. If you don't mind, though, I'm going to take that on that camera over there.
Go ahead.
The last opening series at Packard Stadium last weekend was filled with a bunch of musical chairs, hoping your moves would be good enough to win the game. With 4 different lineups, a sophomore Friday night starter, and a questionable bullpen, fans are wondering what head coach Tim Esme is trying to do with the team. The 2-2 record, most recently a 7-1 loss against New Mexico, does not adequately show what this team is made of, but does show what happens when it is mismanaged. Hopefully, the team will figure it out in the Golden State this weekend as ASU plays its first away games this season. To sort through the question marks and depict Tim Esme language, we got CSL baseball analysts Adriana Torres and Jacob Garcia in-house. Guys, take it away.
Thanks, guys. The Sun Devils sit at 500 after last weekend. They lost on Friday night to Baylor and then lost again to New Mexico on Tuesday. But let's go back to Friday when Ryan Burr made his first career start. Now, we knew that it was going to be a little bit difficult for him to transition into the starting position coming from closing, but he went 4 innings. Do you think that was okay for him?
Well, I don't think Ryan Burr pitched poorly at all by any means, but the problem was that he exerted way too much energy for only throwing 4 innings of work. He didn't establish his fastball early in the count. He was getting behind hitters. That drove his pitch count up. He had 95 pitches and only 4 innings of work, and it also didn't allow him to develop his changeup, which is a huge part of his pitching repertoire this season. But he'll have a perfect opportunity to right the ship tonight as they face a Long Beach State team that's struggled mightily offensively this season.
And let's talk offense now for the Sun Devils. On Sunday, they had an explosive 9-run 6th inning. Now, that's a lot of talent there. This is really an inner competition within the Sun Devil team.
Yeah, exactly. And to put this into perspective, not one player on the Sun Devil squad started all 3 games against Baylor. 7 made their first appearance as a Sun Devil. 7 more collected a hit. 12 different players had an RBI. So if you're Coach Tim Esme, it's a great problem to have. You have guys that can come off the bench, play the hot hand, play a matchup type game. But as a player, coming into the dugout each and every day and not having an idea of a set lineup, that's extremely difficult to do. Now, looking at some of the position battles we have going on, not so much a position battle, but 2 great players at the catching position. RJ Ibarra will be the starter as he has a little bit more experience, but he injured his groin on the base paths in Tuesday's game, so that means Brian Servin will be in line for a few more starts in the coming games. David Graybill probably solidified himself at the first base position as he belted a home run against New Mexico, but Dalton DiNatale will get some starts there when they give Grable the day off. Tucker Esme has really distanced himself at the starting position at second base, batting .500 on the year. And looking at third base, probably the most competitive position, Dalton DiNatale will be the starter as he had a very successful freshman year. But Joey Bialik's a guy who I really like, and the Sun Devils are going to have to find a way to get him into the starting lineup. Sun Devils are loaded with talent this year, just going to be a matter of maximizing it.
That's right, and it'll be interesting to see what Coach does with all this step this weekend as the team is traveling to Southern California. Tonight, the first pitch at Long Beach State is at 7 p.m. tonight, first pitch, and then tomorrow they'll be playing Irvine. Sunday, they'll be at Wright State. So we'll see how it goes in SoCal. So he's Jake, I'm Adriana, back to you guys at the desk.
Twitter is full of useless information. I'm guilty of that myself. I mostly tweet about my love of chocolate milk and the salsa. But every once in a while we get a couple gems. Let's throw up the first one here that we can find. You can see, haha, nice face there, Trev. After the baseball team beat Baylor. Look at that face, guys. Make that face with me. Look. Can you make that? It's kind of like a Robert De Niro face. I don't know what that is. He's looking happy, though, that he beat Baylor. Oh, man. Can you make that? That's a face only a mother could love right there. Throw out the second tweet for me. Yeah. Look at that. Yeah. You can't do that. All right, for tweet number 2, she be in the club with all the baddies. Jalen Strong, where are the baddies? Does he need help? Is this a song? I don't know. But Jalen might be in danger with all these baddies. Jalen, blink twice if you're in trouble, please. We're here to help you.
I was there. No, he's fine.
He's fine?
Yeah, he's fine. Oh. We and the baddies had a bad time.
They had a bad oh my goodness, this is just all these baddies here. Okay. Well, thank God that Jalen Strong is doing great. All right, for tweet number 3 here, our good friend Carrie, you saw him earlier, totally blanking on my MySpace past right now. Come on, Carrie. Come on, we love you so much. There's no way. Why do you even have a MySpace? That's dead.
My MySpace, Kennedy, thank you very much. World famous. When I was in 7th grade, I had more mall dates than every other kid in the class combined because of my MySpace. So I think that's enough from you.
Well, I'll leave it to that then. MySpace may be dead, but Carrie and JT are going to try to bring it back, I guess.
We'll see. Well,
that's what we have for tweets of the week there. Back to you guys on the desk.
The only MySpace date I ever had was with Tom.
Oh, yeah.
You remember what your password was?
I think it was something, no, I don't even remember.
Pink Sparkles 13.
Oh, there we go, there we go.
Well, that was a great job, Kennedy. I've been waiting for his appearance on the show. He did a fantastic job.
Oh, absolutely.
We're going to switch gears into another sport. It's lacrosse. And well, one of Cronkite Sports Live's talented producers and anchors, Trey Lanthier, lives and breathes ASU lacrosse. He spent his past 2 weekends traveling at least 1,000 miles to follow the Lax team to California. The first weekend trip was only a scrimmage. That's dedication. Luckily for Trey and the rest of the CSL crew that will be at tonight's game against Minnesota Duluth, the 2-0 Sun Devils will be making their home debut. Here for a sneak peek on the matchup are my 2 least favorite members of the show, Mauricio Casillas and Tamsin Stonebarger. I'm just kidding, guys. You guys are great. Take it away.
Thanks, guys. So ASU lacrosse kicked off their season last weekend in LA against Stanford and Utah. They combined for 41 goals and only allowed 10. Talk about the highlights from last weekend.
Well, Tamsin, there's 3 guys that really stood out to me on the offensive side of things. Dan Davis, Cooper Bickel, and Logan Quinn. And Dan Davis just had a monster weekend. 8 goals and 4 assists. Cooper Bickel with 5 goals and 6 assists. And then Logan Quinn, who transitioned to an attackman this season, had 5 goals overall in 1 game. So great stuff overall. Coach has to be pleased with that. On the other side of things, Chris DeLuca, the goaltender, is his first season as a starter, has a 62.3 save percentage right now. And then you can't say enough about faceoff specialist Zach Handy right now. The guy never loses. Out of 35 faceoffs, he only lost 3 all weekend, so great stuff from him, and Coach Malone has to be pleased with their effort this weekend.
And despite the great performance, Coach Malone still sees more to improve on. Coming up tonight against Minnesota Duluth at the West Campus, let's take a look at what Coach Malone's thoughts are.
We got to start fast. We can't, use the first 7 minutes of the game to kind of get warmed up. Like, we have to be ready to go, and we have to run the offense well, and we have to be communicating on defense and have a lot of energy and play with a sense of urgency.
So those are his thoughts. What are your thoughts for tonight's matchup against UMD?
You know what? I'm going to have to agree with Coach Malone on this one. I think they need to start off and score goals early. If they're not scoring goals early, that's where they really struggle. Especially last season, you saw the Sun Devils really crumble, and their confidence goes down when they fall behind. If they start things off quickly, then they get things going, and then they're really going to dig Duluth into a grave. But the other thing they have to worry about is Minnesota Duluth's goalkeeper, Jarrett Kipperich, and right now he's my player to watch this week. He's doing a great job overall. He's got a 69% save percentage, which is really unheard of, Tamsin, and he's played 25 games overall this season, only given up 1 goal, 25 games overall in his career, only given up 1 goal this season. That's tremendous. So if the Sun Devils are able to get past him, I think they have a good chance of winning this game.
And that brings us to predictions. What are your predictions for tonight's matchup?
Well, the Sun Devils are finally going to be back home at the ASU West campus. The West campus has really embraced this team. They're like, you know what, this is our campus team. And I think the guys are going to be fired up. Coach Malone is going to get them ready to play, and they're going to ultimately win 16-8.
And I got them winning 12-7. You can catch that action live on CronkiteSports.com tonight. Back to you guys.
The sports scene has been dominated by Olympic coverage in Sochi these past weeks, but it hasn't been noticed in Tempe is the downward spiral ASU women's basketball team is on. With 3 double-digit losses in the past 3 games, the only 3 answers the Sun Devils team can make sense is that they're just plainly unpredictable. With only 2 games left on the season in their schedule, their first annual pink game against breast cancer awareness on Friday night against Colorado, and their senior night on Sunday against Utah, Charlie Turner-Thorne and staff need to pull it together to keep the Sun Devils in contention and dropping from the top 25. The duo pair of CSL analysts Gavin Shaw and Zach Pokleb have all the info you need to go going forward into the weekend. Guys?
Zach, this Sun Devils women's basketball team has really struggled of late, losing their last 3 games. And I think one stat that really encapsulates that, ASU women's softball team, no doubt a great squad, batting .371 on the season.
Not bad at all.
ASU women's basketball team shooting 31% from the field their last 3 games. Now, I'm not one for cross-sport comparisons, Zach. That's absolutely not good.
Not at all. And you said it right there. They've shot 31% over the 3 games, each lost by double digits. Their offensive flow is absolutely gone. They're very tentative. They're struggling. They're taking pressured shots. They're taking shots at the end of the shot clock. And on a team that's so predicated by balance, they need everybody firing on all cylinders. And when there's 1, 2, 3 players not at 100%, they're out of sync. And you can clearly see that by the way they've played in these past 3 games.
Right. Well, at their peak of the season, ASU was 11th in the country. But so many of those games were close matches. And I really didn't think it was sustainable, Zach. Was it?
Well, I think that you said it right there. They peaked a little early.
Right.
They were picked 10th in the Pac-12 to finish 10th by the Pac-12 by the coach in the preseason poll, and they've exceeded expectations. They were number 11 in the country. They had 2nd place in the Pac-12, and they're playing with such a chip on their shoulder, such an underdog mentality. And the Pac-12 is so deep and so talented that they didn't have time to breathe. And with so many freshmen and first-year players contributing so much on this team, they look mentally fatigued, and they're dealing with some physical issues as well. Adrian Thomas has an ankle injury that she's dealing with. Sophie Bruner has her injuries that she's dealing with, and you can really tell how it affects ASU's team.
Right. So it's been something of a train wreck over these last 3 games, Zach. 4 games left in the season. Can they salvage it?
Well, if you look at their schedule going forward, they're playing the Oregon schools, Utah, and Colorado this weekend. Right. And all those games they won very close margins. They won those 50-50 balls, and there was a very intense stretch for the Sun Devils. And now going forward into these games, it's going to be very difficult for the Sun Devils to get out of this offensive funk that they're in. But if they can find an offensive flow, that'll be really important. Now, I think for the results of these games, it'll be good if they can get a 2-2. Honestly, they might go 1-3, but the more important thing is finding that offensive rhythm into the Pac-12 tournament, NCAA tournament, so they don't find themselves at home early off in this postseason.
Right. The Lady Devils have been something of an enigma this season. They're projected to be really, really bad, Zach. And then they were shockingly really good. Recently, they've been bad again.
Yeah.
What happens next? Not even Zach Pokleb knows. Back to you guys at the desk. Now, that Kennedy Collier's character did a pretty decent job earlier in the show, I'd say.
I wouldn't agree. So he's just too catty with his delivery, though.
We'll give him another try right here.
Well,
we're back in
I'm down.
for the segment that we haven't really named yet. We just call it The Debate because that's what we do. So let's welcome in Kennedy Collier for this. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing a lot better now, but thanks for that introduction. It's great.
I want to see improvement.
Improvement. I'm trying. We're raising the bar here at CSL. Welcome to the debate where the points really don't matter and everything's made up. Kind of like Whose Line Is It Anyway? They think the points matter. They really don't. But let's try to humor them. So let's start with question number 1, guys, if you guys are ready. Which ASU player is writing most on the NFL Combine?
I'm going to take this one first. I got to say Will Sutton has the most writing on this pro day. Will Sutton coming into the draft a little overweight according to scouts. They're saying that he's projected late 2nd round now. He's really got to step up. He was projected to 1st round pick last year. Really has to step it up for the team.
You said 2nd round. I heard that, right?
Yeah.
Well, 5th round is where Marion Grice is headed. How doesn't that make him need to prove more this week? He's a small running back who never showed a great burst of speed. He's not really that versatile. He's got to either show that he's got great speed or that he can pound the ball. And I don't think he's going to be able to do either. This is huge for him.
Brad, I'm going to cut you off right there. Time's up. I'm going to give the points to Jake.
Oh,
because I love Will Sutton, and I'm a big fan
go.
of cereal, too. My favorite is Cocoa Pebbles.
I said you did a good job, Kennedy.
Well, you said, oh, I heard what you said. Anywho, points go to Jake. Let's get question number 2 up. Who is the most important player for this ASU basketball team down the stretch?
All right, I'll begin. Jermaine Marshall. The key is, against Arizona, 11 for 23. They win 29 points. They have no other offense. Against Colorado, 3 for 13. They lose. I understand. He's terribly inconsistent. But if he is on, he's the scorer they need. Jaheed Carson can't finish. I'm sorry, to lob layup, whatever you're doing there, not working.
Brett, time's up. All right, Jake.
Blockchinsky. The man is on fire right now and needs to keep this hot streak up. There's a stat I was reading the other day. For every 13.2 field goals pulled up before the Colorado game, Jordan Baczynski blocked one of those shots. That's insane. Guy's got to clog the middle. He's going to do great things down the stretch.
Impressive, but if you can't score, you can't win.
All right, guys, time's up. You know, I'm going to give the points to Brett there, just because I like how he smiles. I'm sorry. I'm a looks guy.
I gotta smile.
Very shallow there. So let's start with question number 3. Do you like how Tim Esme is tinkering with the baseball lineup here?
Well, I think the favorite term out of that whole entire statement is tinkering. And yes, he's tinkering with the lineup way too much. Played baseball all throughout high school. You got to keep a solidified lineup and pitching rotation. If you keep on mixing people up, it just throws them off. You got to keep a solidified lineup and a pitching rotation.
3, 2, 1. I'm just trying to let you finish. All right. All right. No, see, I played intramural baseball. My opinion's a little more valid. It doesn't matter, really. And what's Tinker? What are we, 5 years old? Who cares? He's got a lineup that he's got to get in there. He's got 9 freshmen. He's got a whole season. These guys don't even play every day, just every weekend. So they'll get into a groove eventually.
I don't agree.
Just
you know what? I don't agree with either one of you, even though you both had completely different points. The winner of this game is the children. I think they deserve this one.
Oh, my God.
I agree.
Yeah. I agree. Give it to the children.
Give it to the
children. Always win. Now, there's 2 people watching us right now.
And surprisingly, neither of them are our mothers.
Actually, I am one of them. Just checking the stream. We're good.
Luckily for the women's gymnastics team, or the Gym Devils as they're called, they get more than 2 viewers.
And even all of their mothers watch.
That's what happens when you're loved. And when you're a surprise team that's pushed its way to the number 22 in the national rankings.
They continued that push last Saturday when they scored 196.2 points to take down BYU, their highest score since 2007.
Carissa Cross, the sophomore, totaled a 9.9 on the vault. That's a career high. And Morgan Steigerwalt scored a 9.875 on the floor. That's a season and meets high.
You know, to be frank with you, I haven't a clue what these numbers mean.
Brett, only the number that you need to worry about is 4, as in 4 p.m. today. That's when the Gym Devils take on rival Arizona in Tempe.
Well, let's hope they win some awards just like these guys, because it's now time for our player and coach of the week. I begin with the softball diamond, head coach Craig Nicholson. This week, he's led the Sun Devils off to a perfect start. 12-0, moved from number 7 to 4 in the rankings. Look at that score, outscoring 89-14. This is his first year as a Sun Devil softball coach. People didn't know what to expect, but he's got a crazy good team, and he's been crazy good so far.
Well,
I got it.
Oh,
this team, it's unbelievable. Can they go undefeated? Who knows? But Craig Nicholson, if they do, will be a huge reason.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'm going to stick it on the diamond, keep it on the softball diamond, and we're going to go with Dallas Escobedo for player of the week. Last night, 6 strikeouts in a row in the first 2 innings. Look at that stat line. 6-0, .55 ERA, a 2.89 whip, 65 strikeouts. The girl is on an absolute tear. What more can you ask from your number 1 starter? Let's see what she can do, and she's going to lead this team very far down the stretch.
Well, you could ask for something else. a top play from Dallas Escobedo.
But she's going to give you one. I can guarantee you that one day.
Here come our top plays.
Absolutely. Top play. Oh, not yet. My bad. Top play number 3. We're going to go to ASU Lacrosse. Justin Straker with a shot on Utah goalie Jeff Nielsen. Then he throws it back out, but intercepted by John McCollum, passing it back to Straker with the shot over his left shoulder. The Sun Devils end up winning 25-3 over decisive fashion over Utah.
This is the second play. As you can see, it says number 2. Here, David Graybill swings, hits the ball. That's deep. Going over the fence. They call that a home run in baseball. David Graybill with the only run on the day for the Sun Devils this past Tuesday. They lost 7-1.
And now coming after baseball.
Let him score. Let him score.
Oh, let him score. Okay, good job.
Got some glory.
Nice home run. Now the number 1 top play of the week, ASU softball. Jennifer Soria at bat, runners at second and third. Deep ball to center field. That's gonna drop. Scoring 1, and that's gonna be an 8-0. That's a mercy rule for the ASU softball team. Walk-off mercy rule. They beat the Drake Bulldogs last night. Great job, ASU softball. What are you doing? What are you doing? What?
Sure, yes. That was my Jake Gaden's stupid dance for a t-shirt. You deserve it, buddy.
Well, that's all you have for Cronkite Sports Live this week.
But we don't go away after this show. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter for all the latest news and updates for all your Sun Devil sports. Facebook.com/Cronkite Sports Live. Or on Twitter @KronkSportsLive.
And if you really are sad that the show is over, don't worry, we'll be back again next weekend, next Friday, same time, same place.
So for Jake Gaden, WCSN, and Cronkite Sports Live and staff, I'm Brett Deckert. Have a good one.